Have you ever felt, I don't know, kind of trapped by what other people think? Well, today we are going to unpack a really powerful idea from the book, The Courage to be Disliked. It offers this single kind of radical key to finding personal freedom. So let's dive in. Okay, so the book starts with this massive, almost unbelievable claim. Every single problem you have, whether it's anxiety, feeling stuck, relationship drama, all of it comes from one single source: your relationships with other people. Basically, you just care way too much about what they think. I know that sounds extreme, but stick with me here, because understanding this is the very first step toward breaking free. So our journey really begins by taking a hard look at the prison we often build for ourselves. You can think of it like this. The walls are made of other people's expectations, and the prison guard? Well, that's our own fear of not being liked. And this gets to a really fascinating idea. The book argues there's actually no such thing as a purely personal worry. Seriously, every time you feel that knot of anxiety in your stomach, the shadows of other people are right there with you. We're constantly asking, even if we don't realize it, what will they think? How am I coming across? How will they judge me for this? Think about it this way. When your main goal is to get approval, you're essentially letting other people hand you the map to your own life. You end up following their directions, their road signs, and you completely sacrifice the freedom to choose your own path, your own destination. You're not living your life, you're living the life someone else wants for you. So, if we're trapped by this need for approval, how do we get out? This is where the book's ideas get really transformative. It challenges one of the most common beliefs we all have, this idea that our past, our traumas, our upbringing, our experiences, that's what defines who we are today. This whole philosophy is based on the work of a psychologist named Alfred Adler. He said, look, we're not being pushed by what happened to us in the past. Instead, we are being pulled forward by the goals we have in the present. So your whole lifestyle, your personality, your habits, even your feelings, isn't something that just happened to you. It's more like a toolkit you've chosen, maybe without even knowing it, to help you reach a specific goal. Here's a perfect example of what that looks like. Someone might say, oh, I'm just too anxious to go to that job interview. But Adlerian psychology would flip that completely. It would suggest that the real goal is to avoid the possibility of failing that interview. So to achieve that goal, the person manufactures the emotion of anxiety. It's the perfect tool, the perfect excuse to stay home. See, the emotion is serving a purpose. So the huge takeaway here is this. It's not the experience itself that shapes us, but the meaning we choose to give it right now. Your past isn't some prison you're stuck in. You have the power in this very moment to decide what it all means. The question is, what are you going to choose to do with that power? And that realization brings us to this critical fork in the road. It's a fundamental choice that ends up defining pretty much everything about our relationships and our own happiness. And I want you to really genuinely ask yourself this question. When you interact with other people, your friends, your family, your coworkers, what is your ultimate underlying goal? Because according to this book, your answer puts you on one of two very different paths. And here they are. On one side, you've got the path of seeking approval. This is where your happiness depends on getting praise from others. It's like a constant treadmill. On the other side, you have the path of contribution. This is where your happiness comes from an internal feeling that you are useful, that you're making a positive impact, no matter how big or small. So let's talk about the price you pay for walking down that first path. Well, when you're constantly seeking approval, life becomes one big competition. If your friend succeeds, you feel a little jealous because on some level, their win feels like your loss. You start to feel resentful when people don't give you the appreciation you think you deserve, and ultimately you're not free. Your every move is a calculation to avoid being disliked. So if that's the trap, then what's the escape route? This is where we find the courage to actually choose that second path, the path of contribution. This right here is the core shift in thinking. Genuine, lasting happiness doesn't come from someone else giving you a gold star. It comes from the quiet, internal feeling that you are contributing something, that just by being who you are useful to someone. So, how do you even start? Well, it begins with small steps. First, self-acceptance. Just understanding that you have value simply by existing. You don't have to earn your worth. Second, you have to define contribution on your own terms. It's not about changing the world. It could be as simple as truly listening to a friend. And finally, focus on the now. What can you contribute in this very moment, not in some far-off future? And you know what's so amazing about this? Once you start getting your sense of self-worth from this internal feeling of contribution, that desperate, needy desire for everyone else to tell you you're okay, it just starts to fade away. You don't need it anymore because you already know your value from the inside out. Okay, so what does this life actually look like? What does it feel like to live a truly free life when you finally make this shift? Well, a life of freedom means you see other people as fellow travelers on the road, not your rivals. You can genuinely be happy for their successes because their win doesn't take anything away from you. Your relationships get so much healthier, built on real support. And you start to develop this deep, quiet confidence that doesn't need anyone else's applause to exist. And this brings us to what is easily the book's most powerful and maybe most challenging statement. If you are truly living an authentic life based on your own principles, it is absolutely inevitable that some people won't like you. And that's not a failure. It's proof. It is the very evidence that you are living in freedom. So, the final thought to leave you with is this. The courage to be happy and the courage to be disliked are really just two sides of the same coin. You simply can't have one without the other. The real path to happiness isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about having the courage to be authentically, unapologetically liked by yourself.